Hi everybody, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, there were two big stories coming out of Alaska as the Alaskan season is heating up, if you will. We also have some tour companies that just shut down every tour in a town when they found something out about the cruise ship. We have some good news if you're a Disney fan coming out of Texas, because they're looking at putting a ship there full-time, not just part-time. And we also have, well, more cancellations, this time from Virgin Cruise Lines. And yeah, I'm not real impressed with the options that they're giving you. So right now, the cruise lines are actually suing Skagway, Alaska. That's right. This time it's not the cruise line being sued. They're actually suing the town of Skagway because of a new taxation law that they just introduced. It just came into effect for this season. And that is that if a cruise ship, sells on their cruise, let's say a cruise line, sells a shore excursion on their website, right? They will obviously take a percentage of that for themselves, and then the tour operator makes the difference. That's why it's a little more expensive to book shore excursions, through the cruise line, but they also guarantee that you won't miss the ship, right? So some of those extra costs of having to fly people if they miss the ship because something happened on one of the tours, especially like say a helicopter breaks down, they have to send another helicopter out in Alaska on a glacier trip. Well, they guarantee to get you back to the ship or home at their cost, and the tour companies don't. So that's a little sidebar there, but the things that's going on right now is they enacted a new law saying that no, all your shore excursions, that are being paid, including your portion from the difference of the tour company. So say the tour company charges $100 for a tour and the cruise line gets $25 commission after that. Well, they want the $25 commission now. Even if it was bought from somebody in Japan on the website, not in the actual country of United States or the town of Skagway. Well, they're suing them now saying, yeah, that's illegal. That's against state law. That's against federal law. That's against practice. It's one thing to charge a port fee or to charge money for when you're in port and purchasing something on the ship. Like some ports charge for alcohol consumption or anything bought on the ship while you're in port. But they do not tax things that have been purchased outside of, the actual town of Skagway. That's like saying, well, you sold this $3,000 cabin. We want commission on that we want the tax on that $3,000 cabin now, even though it had nothing to do with the town of Skagway. So we'll have to see how that court decision goes. Now, if you're also a fan of cruise ships and you're going to Sitca, Alaska, which is often the last stop before you get off and fly home, well, they just had a vote. They just had a vote on restrictions. And here are some of the restrictions they were going for. It might be a case of trying to bite off more than you can chew in this vote. It was confine cruise ships to a period of between May 1st and September 30th. Limit ports of calls to 6 days per week, requiring one cruise-free day. Imposing an annual cap of 300,000 scheduled passengers. Enforcing a daily cap of 4,500 scheduled passengers ashore. Also, they wanted to have impose strict penalties and permit restrictions, including suspensions if any of these things are broken, etc. The town voted, and they voted overwhelmingly by 72% not to impose any of these restrictions. So again, that's another Alaskan port that put something on the ballot to restrict cruise ships, and they overwhelmingly have said, no, we need the cruise ship business. We're not going to do that. There you go. That's 2 more stories in Alaska that had happened once again. Let's talk about Disney. And Disney is now, according to the Port Authority in Galveston, going to be placing a ship in 2027 year-round out of Galveston. Home porting there, not just coming in for a season like they are right now with the Disney Magic. They were also asked, so will it be the Magic? Is the Magic the ship that's going to be here from now on in 2027? And the director there said, kind of coyly, you know, I kind of think that Disney's going to be putting a bigger ship, leading to speculation that it might be one of the brand new ships that are coming online with Disney over the next couple of years. Yeah, pretty exciting news if you're a Disney fan out of Galveston, Texas. Next, let's talk about the Shetland Islands. And apparently the Costa Fabulosa was in port. Remember, I reported out that they had a gastronomical illness on board, and some people have been quarantined in that on the ship in their cabins. Well, the cruise ships say that they told, the health authorities and were given permission to dock in Lerwick. Well, all of a sudden, one tour operator said she was there and one of the passengers had to get out and was violently vomiting and sick. And that's when she heard that there was a gastronomical illness on board. And she immediately, called into their office, who immediately canceled all the tours for the rest of the day. And so did all the other tour operators. Well, this was kind of a quandary because now, instead of being spread out and going all over the different locations, like going for puffin watching or going up to the Shetland pony areas or, just visiting the castles, etc., now all 3,500 passengers were limited to wandering around the town, which has voiced concerns now saying that, hey, what happened? Why weren't we informed of this gastronomical illness and let us make a decision about things? They said, the cruise ship said, well, we told the health authorities and the port officials and they were just slow getting the news to you guys. And then the port authority said, well, no, they didn't tell us that there was an outbreak on board. Well, I knew there was an outbreak on board. You would think that the port authorities would know that there's an outbreak on board. I'm in Canada, for God's sake, and it's not my job to look after the port. So, yeah, it's miscommunications, but a lot of the people were very upset that this was allowed to happen. We'll see if there's any ramifications come from that in the future. And finally, let's talk about Virgin Cruise Lines and the Scarlet Lady. And they had some longer voyages scheduled in 2026, starting in June and July. 3 voyages, one of 10 nights, 2 of 14 nights, and they are now gone and canceled. Now, the options that you have, first of all, they've now made these all shorter cruises. Anything from a 6-night cruise to a 10-night cruise during that time period. But the options they're giving you is, well, you can get a full refund. There you go, you can get all your money back. Or you can move it to a similar itinerary or sailing date. So if you're in a balcony cabin and you're on a 10-night cruise or a 14-night cruise, you can move it to another 14-night cruise and have a price protection, or a shorter cruise as well. But you have to do that, on your own and move it over. If you do that, you'll get a $100 onboard credit. If you move it to 3 of the cruises that they're offering you that are similar itineraries, but the catch is they sail in 2025, not 2026. They're coming up in only 3 more months. But if you move them to then, they'll give you $300 in onboard credit and price protection. I'm not sure how many people are able to jump at the drop of a hat and change the cruise to a cruise that's coming up very, very soon compared to one you've scheduled, a year and 3 months away, 4 months away. So not sure how many is going to take them up on that offer. But they do get $300 more in onboard credits, but over a 14-night cruise, that's really not a whole lot of money. But there you go. The speculation for why they canceled these cruises is probably lack of interest, as these cruises tend to be more expensive than the average Virgin Cruise Line cruise. The price point seems higher on these longer cruises. So yeah, I guess it's a business decision, but the offerings really aren't terrific. You know, hey, you know that sailing you're going to do in July next year? Well, if you go in September this year, you can get an extra $300 on board. Hey, have you checked airfares this year? I'm sure a lot of people are hoping the airfares go way down by next year because they're huge right now. Well, let me know in the comments down below, what would you say to some of this stuff? Do you think that the cruise line let the health authorities know and they just goofed up? Are you happy that Sitca Alaska, yeah, they weren't able to limit the cruise ships? Because that could affect a lot of cruise ships doing northbound, southbound cruising. Definitely could have affected a lot of things there. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.